wanted to chat with you just to get to know you a little bit, but there's very few people that I feel that are kind of like, hey, I'm just going to put what I feel online. And I look at what you put out there, and it's a combination of I don't give a shit, but I'm going to send a message and I'm going to post what I want. But at the same time, you have a huge following. A similar thing happened for me. So I have religious views. I swear sometime. I don't seem like other people, but I said, you know what? I'm just going to be who I am. And everybody told me my following to go down. Now I can't keep my following down.
Yeah,
People are
yeah,
knocking on the door. I tell them to get the F out, and they still try to come in. So I thought this is interesting. But what I found is that people that not necessarily share my views, but really want to have, like, I want to say what he said. I feel like that's kind of the thing. Like, I want to have the balls to say what he said. That's my reason I kind of see it. I feel like I kind of could be a voice piece for people. So it's not to put my views or political views or religious views on people. It's like, I'm going to say what I want because it's here. It's our First Amendment. Like, if you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
practice it, you lose the shit, you
Of
know?
course.
So, so I'm going to stop there for a second because I've been talking a lot. I want to hear your viewpoint on why you post and why you do what you do. How you built a good culture around your business, and
Yeah.
tell us your name, the name of your business, in case we do go public with this.
Okay. My name's Paul Richmond-Watson, posh grandparents. Business is Junk Monkeys. There's a lot of bullshit online, and there's a lot of people pretending to be this, that, and the other, and especially in business. Facebook for me, it's not really a business platform as such. It's more for people to be nosy on what their friends and family are doing. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, rather than coming across in a business sense, I've tried to come across on a personal level so that the people who read my copy think, oh, I can relate to this guy. Oh, look how, this is nice that he's doing this. Look what they're doing today. I'm just basically taking people on a journey with us.
Mm-hmm.
People don't want to read about what your business can do for them in a sense of, I mean, how many times can you say we pick up rubbish? How many before and after photos can you put up before it's
Mm-hmm.
just repetitive? It's just a business card, basically,
Mm-hmm.
So people want to buy from people they like. So I use Facebook purely from a viewpoint of I go on there to see what my friends and family are doing. Um, if a page interests me, it's because it's normally they're speaking as a person rather than a entity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I just come across as a person. It's not the quite, you're on my personal Facebook. You see, there's a bit of a difference between who I am on that and how I come across on the page.
Sure.
So there is that level of professionalism, but I think my biggest post was when I posted about having a fight after a job. Like, how do you get away with that? But I posted about a fight. I think I got 12,000 likes or something stupid like that. Long story short, a homeless man was being bullied by a drunk guy. I went to intervene. The drunk guy hit me, so I hit him back. And it wasn't a good idea to hit me. And it blew up, and everybody just supported me because, like, you did the right thing there. And I think it's just coming across as a person rather, like,
Mm-hmm.
literally just be a person rather than a business.
I like
If
that.
that
You know, Anthony Bourdain, have you heard of him? He was the cook.
I have.
He said something one time. He goes, I'm a professional cook. And he goes, but I post a picture of my In-N-Out burger bag, and that gets 10 times more likes than something that I made because
Yeah,
people are more interested that I'm human. And
yeah,
that
yeah.
and that's
You
what
read
it does. It brings it to a human level. So I started following your stuff a little bit. I'm like, okay, I got lots of followers on LinkedIn, and I was watching what you were doing on Facebook. But I like your story. You see a lot of interaction about you and your lady.
Yep.
You posting about your working out. You're celebrating her progress, but you're not making it mundane. You're like bringing sexiness to it. Like, hey, it's awesome.
Yeah.
My lady's looking hotter. Like, that's cool. That's the way that us men should. That's how us men think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not shouldn't be surprising what us going through our men's minds. It's a healthy thing, and
Yeah.
when we do it in a somewhat professional way, but leaning more towards the personal, I think it invites people into that human element. I've taught in juvenile probation, and it's a captive audience. Literally, they have to sit there. They had to
Yeah.
listen to me. they were
Yeah.
arrested, and if they leave the class, they get handcuffed. So, and I'm sitting there, and first their impression is, who the F is this guy, right? Especially the ladies. They're looking at me probably like, I'm the guy that hit them or something. Like they don't,
Yeah.
something could be projected on me. I don't know, but I'm an a-hole day one because they have to sit in this class. So I'm like, I got to come up with some icebreakers. So at the end of the very first session, I tell them, all right, next week, class, I'm going to tell you about the time I went to jail in another country. They're like, wait a second. No, you have to tell us right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we need to know. They always show up early for the second session. And
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you have their attention. And
Yeah.
then I go into the story of how I went to jail in Mexico, and people that are somewhat professional say, "Oh, you can't share that stuff. That doesn't look good on your resume." It's like, you dig deep enough, you're going to find it about me. May as well
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
real about everything.
Yep.
And this is real. This is real life. I was 21, spring break, fill in the blanks. I was an
Yeah.
idiot.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us guys don't break out of the full time idiot till maybe late 20s. So there I was. I was having fun, and drinking and having fun was on my mind all the time. But it brought that realism aspect to it.
Of course.
It's and you can and relating to your audience. So on that, who is your audience out there? So when you're out in the UK, you built your business, you built Junk Monkeys a lot because of your social platform. You've shared that a bit with me. Um, how much, if you had to quantify, just a close guess, if you had to quantify how much business comes from your social online, how much does that bring income or business?
90% easy. 90.
90%.
Yeah. As much as I have my eggs in one basket, so to speak, we're just overwhelmed through that. So I don't bother with any other real platforms. I couldn't keep up with. I struggle to keep up with Facebook, if I'm honest. Let
Mm.
alone if I go down other avenues. I've got a website. It's not a bad one, but I say 5% of work comes from that. Another 5% through contacts. I focus primarily on residential. I don't really go into too much commercial stuff these days. So Facebook for me for residential, it's a lot better. You know, I've done my fair share of commercial stuff, and with the direction that we're going, we're not looking to grow now, and we're not looking to expand. We're just looking to float along where we are. I get enough through there. Do you know what Facebook is? Facebook is the new word of mouth. So, the best advertising has always been word of mouth, somebody recommending you, recommendations. Facebook's the new platform for that. People don't. Facebook is the new community, isn't it? We don't live in communities anymore where your neighbour's great, and you pop around for. It doesn't happen this day, not especially in the UK. So, for me, Facebook has been that thing for me to get that word of mouth out. Yeah, I'd say definitely 90% as things stand.
How would you describe the culture there? I don't know if you've spent much time in the States, but I'm from California, and California, just be honest, and this isn't everybody, but a much more pretentious culture. Get in, get
Yeah,
the F out. It's just the way it is. And I was raised that way. I didn't mind it, because when you grow up around it and you're in it, it's just the way it is. I grew up with an Italian grandma who swears all the time and loved Jesus, and so that you learn that's the culture, you
yeah,
know. And she f you and f this at her kids, and I didn't think anything of it because that's the way you're raised. When I came over to Nevada, and then Texas is way different. Texas is, come on in, we want to hear about your life, and I'm like, who are these people?
yeah.
These all these friendly people are freaking me out. So I've noticed differences just within the states. Um, where are you from originally, and how would you assess the culture out there in the UK?
So originally, I'm from New Zealand, um,
Okay.
down the bottom of the world, and that the culture in New Zealand wise is a cross between the States and the UK. It's pretty much the best of both whacked into the middle. I did live in America briefly. I lived in Molokai in Hawaii for 6 months, which was kind of nice. Culture-wise, in the UK, there's various classes in the UK. So we very much still have the upper class. They just stick to themselves. You don't really see much of the sort of elite side of the culture here. We do every now and again. There's a lot of middle class, and then there's a lot of poor. There's a lot of people on what we call benefits. So I think it's social security over there, where the government pays rent and living expenses. Um, we have a target audience, which is pretty much middle-aged females in a middle class to upper middle class, and that seems to be the kind of client that gravitates towards us rather than we look for. Although the marketing does sway a little bit towards their direction. So I mean, when we started, we were a bunch of lads that went to the gym. We had physiques. We sort of I
Mm-hmm.
capitalized on that.
Mm-hmm.
I sold the Diet Coke experience at the start, and it worked. And now that Darian's come into the business, and I've decided to sort of shrink it down somewhat,
Mm-hmm.
we're now sort of going on the family aspect. So the kids are involved in it, as small as they are, and that appeals to that target audience of ours. We're not too dissimilar from the States with, a lot of the things that some of the guys say in the groups, we can really relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think we all have the same kind of customer to a degree. They do vary a little bit, but I think it's a particular person who sees the value in the service rather than is worried about the cost of the fact that we're moving rubbish. Because some people can get
Gotcha.
a bit, it's rubbish. Why do I have to pay this so much money to get it gone? We also get free bin collections in the UK. I'm not sure how your sort of city garbage disposal works, but we have a big truck that comes along once a week and empties our household bins. So a lot of people also see that rubbish has always been free. This is more the lower class, poorer element, and why should I have to pay for it?
Mm-hmm.
Some people can be quite shocked at how much it is, but yeah, culture-wise, generally speaking, it's the middle class, the upper middle class that really value the service. The lower class don't mind if somebody else is paying for it, but we
Gotcha.
don't they're not our customer. So if we turn around and we're too expensive for them, then that's fine. That's no skin off
Gotcha.
our nose.
I imagine bringing Darian on, it's good and bad. You got some middle-aged women that are disappointed they can't have a run at you
Yeah, you know what? She's even been told it as well. But then, it's the catch-22. We've got a bit more of a male audience now, so goes round, doesn't it?
That may have been your plan. You're like, hey, we got to expand our business a little bit, so bring in
Yeah,
both
well,
sides, build the
exactly.
brand.
Sex
Yeah.
sells. Let's put it that way.
How I consider myself more than just like a marketing agency. I feel marketing's a little bit old hat. Some of these old 50s style shows or Mad Men type thing, like a
Mhm.
billboard type yellow pages. So we've really evolved into a branding agency. And a lot of people, I don't consider ads a waste of money. We'll do it too, but I feel that culture and building a brand eats advertising for breakfast.
Oh
I
yeah,
get
yeah,
Yeah, so I get 85% of my business from what I call it organic funneling. Funneling is a term that we use like ClickFunnels, but when I say organic funneling, I think you know what I mean. I post
yeah,
some bullshit online, some story that I like. You read some of my stuff, and people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna see what this guy does, or I'm
yeah.
gonna see what he can do for me." And then Cassidy from my office will contact them. We interview clients now. We switched it 2021. Said we're going to stop looking for business. We'll let them look for us, and then we'll decide if we want to take them on. And that
Good.
was a game changer. It
Yeah,
was a game changer. We sold our house and we're looking for a home, and I moved into an apartment. I hadn't been in an apartment for a while, and they wanted like a 720 credit score for an apartment. I was like, wow, that's really, that's fine. We got in or whatever, but and now that I'm in, I like it because not necessarily low credit is necessarily a bad person or net, but what they're trying to
hmm,
say is we're trying to draw a certain class of people.
yeah.
So pass or fail, like or dislike, I learned from that. Hey, I'm going to set some standards, and this is the type of client that we want because I feel that my clients are going to represent my brand just as much as my
Of course.
employees.
Yeah.
So I want evangelists. I want people that are going to go out there and express the brand, the message, the way that I want to in their own way. But so we've really focused on branding. Like if you build a brand, you know, George Lucas is not going to run Facebook ads for Star Wars. The brand is too strong, right?
Mhm.
Elon
Yeah.
Musk is not going to put up Google ads to sell a Tesla. You know, you have to go find it. And so I encourage people to go more that direction, because you can be that company in a niche. You can be that company in junk removal very quickly in your
Yeah.
area. So how would you, I've thrown out some elements. How would you define branding? We've gone over some things. You've already shared some stuff, but when you hear that term as it relates to your business or this industry, how would you define it?
So I think what kicked it off for me with the page was I injured my back. I had some time sitting around literally, and I decided to learn social media marketing. Thought, let's give this a go. You know, let's see what we can do. And I looked into it. I spent 2 weeks looking into it and researching. And it's a standard gumph that marketing agencies throw out there, and I don't think it works. So I read something. I can't remember where I read it or who I read it with, but it was the definition of brand marketing and the definition of advertising. And basically, advertising is for an immediate result. So that's your Google ads. You want you want your phone to ring now. You put a Google ad up. Somebody's going to Google for your service that requires it now. They'll call you. You get the job.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas marketing slash branding, it's 6 months down the line. It's a year down the line. They know of you. I just try and put my name in people's heads. I don't care if
Mm-hmm.
they need me now. I don't, you know, my advert that goes out for my page at the end, my call to action is like our page to keep us handy. I don't care if they call us now. I don't care if they message us now. I know they're going to in a year's time. I know when that junk builds up, that's when they're going to be like, I need someone for this. Oh, there's junk monkeys. So
Mm-hmm.
branding for me is keeping in people's heads and just being the go-to. It's becoming the go-to. So building your name, building your I'll tell you that's one thing with our Facebook page. Sales aren't massively difficult because we've already built rapport through the page, which is the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing you need for sales. So clinching a deal is not that hard. And even when I say a price and it's too expensive, they go, "Oh, I'm really sorry, we can't afford that, but you know we'll keep you in mind." So yeah, it's about the long game, isn't it? Branding.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
long game. It's not immediate results. It's not for a quick buck. It's for long-term goals. You just got to think long game. You've got to know the phone will ring, but it may take 2 weeks, 6 months, a year, 2 years. But I'm just trying to put my name into people's heads. And if I can do that, when they have the problem that we offer the solution for, then they're going to think of us. So I think
Very good.
you've probably thought of branding a bit more than me on how to sum it up. But yeah, I think just the long game. You just got to think the long game.
I'm learning from you too. That's how we build a lot of us, is we steal ideas from you guys and we bring it back and to different
Yeah.
people and say, hey, you know, and I look at it, I break it down like it's a one night stand versus a marriage, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
advertising is your one night stand. You know, it's you know, if you and I were some single guys again back in the day and we're at the bar, you know, it's like, well, we got to come up with some lines, some catchy
Yep.
copy, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what
Quick.
one liners are. They're what's
Yeah.
that?
It's got to be quick as well. Quick, short, sharp. You know,
That's
just
right.
get the point there and try and get the
Right.
sale. If not, move on to the next one.
Yeah, and I think we do that when we get into entrepreneurship. We're excited because it's that kind of like, hey, I'm going to get some mentality. I'm going to land a deal. I'm going to make some money, and it feeds that part of the brain of like, oh, I'm just going to make some quick cash. It's that same mindset as a man of like, I'm going to go meet someone and we're going to, you know, have a night together. And I think as business owners, as men, we grow up, we're like, you know what? I'm looking for a certain caliber. I'm looking for a certain standard of person. And you know, you don't go necessarily looking for the right multitude of girls. You build the right guy. You're like, hey, I'm going to build me, and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe the right person comes around. Maybe they don't. But if I work on myself, they ain't going to come around tomorrow. I've started working out again. I really needed to. I'm not going to be ripped tomorrow, right? I'm
Of
not going to
course.
be all jacked up tomorrow. It's going to take time. 4 months, 6 months. I'm in my 40s now. Maybe it takes a year, but I'm going to work on it, and when people can get to that mindset when they're brand, like, hey, I'm going to work on this long term. And and then another thing I really put out there is who you are online and offline is so important to be the same person to a degree.
Yeah,
Like how
yeah,
I talk around my wife and around my kids and around my clients, it's relatively the same. You don't see this show person. I can't stand gurus. Like if you're a guru, you know, get away from me. I love Brad Pitt's line from Fight Club. Just because you put feathers up your butt doesn't make you a chicken. It's like you're
yeah, yeah,
pretending you're pretending to be this expert. You haven't done it before. Who are the heck are you to teach me? I want to learn from people who've actually done it. And I think a lot of online, what we're up against is a lot of fake branding
yeah,
and a lot of guru stuff, and I think it's important to be authentic.
yeah,
They don't need to see you at your worst when you're sick or you had a really drunk night. They don't need to know that part of you, but who you are as a person do it throughout the day. If that doesn't match online to who you are offline, I think you're in trouble. I
yeah,
think
of
people are
course.
going to call you on your bullshit, and they're
Yeah,
they're going to find that out online. And like you said, community. Facebook is the new community. Like you said, I agree with you on that. And I'm not necessarily a huge fan of Facebook, but it offers what it does. It's the one cafeteria in town, so that's where you go. You
yeah,
know, if there's a better one that comes along, great, we'll go somewhere else. But I think
of course.
one thing I've been teaching folks is really, you know, you have an opportunity with people you meet on Facebook to build that relationship. You can do text message marketing from there. You can do email marketing. But again, people don't want to see the before and after junk once in every great while. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
sure.
But it's not sexy. People don't. I tell people keep that crap off your website. No one looks at, hey, I saw that pile of trash on your website. You're my guy, right? Like said
Yeah,
nobody ever.
yeah,
They don't say that. You know, and So understanding your audience and that's what I understand with people is like they want to laugh. I'm naturally stupid and goofy, so I'm just going to be me.
yeah,
I'm not
sure.
going to pretend to be this person or whatever, and that's my brand. And if people want to work with me, great. If you don't, that's okay too, but let's find out right away. I know your brand, you know mine, and we go from there. But um people that are starting out in this industry, Paul, and they're really struggling on getting to that mindset. They do want to go out and get that immediate business. They need that one night stand because it's been a while. They haven't had a payday in a long time, right? So, what would you encourage somebody just starting out if they need to make money right now, but they also need to work on the brand? Do you think there's a balance or an algorithm?
If I was starting out again and I didn't have the page, I would build a page first of all. I would be observing what other people are doing. Um, but it's the buy and sell groups that I would be tagging the page into. So imagine you get them in the States where somebody posts a post up in the buy and sell group. I've got this junk I need gone. Who can do it? How much? I think the secret to that is not to try and win that job, because 9 times out of 10, the people posting it are cheap, and
Mm,
you know yourself. There's layers within this industry of expense, and there's guys out there, even in the UK, that will undercut me by 70% sometimes. And they'll go and tip
mm,
it down a country road somewhere. I wouldn't ever try and necessarily get that job. Don't think that that's your, because that can also drive people to go in too cheap to try and win it against the competition. And that's just a race to the bottom. Everybody starts bidding against each other and the lowest price wins. And I don't want part of that. So if I'm tagging
mm,
my page in there, my company name, again, I'm doing it not for that person that's posted the question, but for everyone else who has rubbish and goes, oh, I wonder who comments on this. I'm doing it to put my name out there. Again, it's a long-term thing, but I'm aiming to speak to the people that do have a bit of money. Like they click on them. Oh, I like the look of these guys compared to the next one. I think part of the problem with rubbish removal, junk removal, is the image. People expect rednecks to turn up, big pot belly guys who don't look after themselves and smell, and they might be slightly criminal, slightly dodgy. So having a clean image and showing yourself with that clean image, in the sense of, you're a normal person, you dress well, you've got a uniform, all those little things will add up to get
Hmm.
the ball rolling. But the only way to really compete to get that immediate cash in is to go in lower than you'd be comfortable with, or just focus and have the strength of mind to build a brand, because I think that's where people lack.
Hmm.
I know when you start out, you need that turnover, you need some money coming in, you need some jobs, but you're always going to be the cheaper one at the start, and you've just got to hold on long enough to let
Hmm.
that brand build itself up. You've just got to keep tagging it in things, create that brand awareness. You know,
Hmm.
um, you've seen my little vans, my caddies, the way that I've put the logo on there.
Hmm.
People can't help but turn their necks, and especially small children. They're the best because they pointed out to their parents, "Look at that monkey," and the
Hmm.
parents like, "Oh, junk monkeys, that's cool." I think it's one of these little things, isn't it, that add up. But there is no short term. There's no quick cash in it. And if there
Hmm.
is, it's short lived. So you've got to get your game plan for 6 months. You've got to look 6 months time. I want to be making this. Um, and just going back to a point you said where you have reached a point where you now select your clients. You interview your clients. We've actually got to that level now where we are more selective as to who we do a job for.
Hmm.
Um, and that's what branding builds. That's what it enables you to. So you've just got to concentrate on surviving. You survive that first
Hmm.
6 months, and you concentrate on putting that name out there. Then you will have a viable business come out of that. Um, but yeah, anybody that, if this does go on YouTube and watches it and is looking for quick cash, it's the wrong way to do it. It's the wrong
I
way. You've got to go long term.
I agree. I relating it back to working out, which has been top of mind for me because I'm at the beginning stages of working out again, which I used to be aggressive about, is intermittent fasting. And
Yep.
relating that to business, I think when you're getting started, you got to get comfortable with intermittent fasting. And if you
Hmm.
have to eat and you got the shakes or you got some sort of condition like bills, then you got to eat from somewhere else. You might have to have a night job. You might
Yep.
have to not leave your
Yep.
other job so early, but don't eat from your business too early. A client of mine, Luke, says, don't eat the seed. You eat from the tree,
Hmm.
and you got to let that seed. You got to let everything come to fruition. Your brand, your logo is catchy. One of my clients, our clients, Matthew Moses, and knowing him because he's such a student, he'll probably watch this video. He chose a dinosaur for his logo, and I got to be
Cool.
honest, I was thrown at first because I was thinking just ones and zero. I think of conversion. I missed the biggest thing of what makes his logo actually one of the best is every kid is going to look at that dinosaur and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, mom,
Yeah.
a dinosaur."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and who's the client audience? It's moms. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
dads. It's parents. It's middle-aged folks, right? And the same thing. It's like I like my logo, but let's be honest, a kid's not going to stop and say, "Hey, look at that Alpha logo."
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
But in your business, it has to be that eye-catching, that immediate, and the branding. So with the monkey, it's brilliant. I like it. I do have to go soon. I want to do one of these again because I love talking with you. But I would want to ask you a favor: is end us with a story. I started out with my story, but give us a story of like kind of like your craziest job, craziest client, something to send us off with, but an experience that you've had because you've been in the industry for a while. And I know you've had one. You've been in this industry too damn long to not have at least 20 of them.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you
I'm
could
just
think
trying
of a
to pick an
story top of the
appropriate,
mind.
one. I'll just go back to this last weekend. This is a little story on how crazy things can just fall in your lap. So Thursday, I think it was Thursday, I had a WhatsApp on my phone. Now there's a company in London that has a reasonably similar name to us. So every now and again we do get inquiries for London, and to put it into perspective, London is a 2.5 hour drive for us. And I got an inquiry yet again for through WhatsApp. Can you come and do this house clearance? And they sent me through some photos, and it was a 2 bedroom apartment. hoarded. It was filthy. It had not. It literally has not been cleaned in decades.
Hmm.
And I said, okay, something like this, we're really best to come out and see it in person. Can I have your postcode, which is like your zip code? And they gave me the postcode. And over here we have one letter and two numbers as a start of our postal codes. And this one had a letter, a number, and then a letter, and it was W1W. And I know W1 is Westminster, which is the heart of London, where our Houses of Parliament are. Um, so I've sort of searched this postcode, and you basically had Buckingham Palace around the corner, Hyde Park, Big Ben, all of these massive landmarks. Now, this square mile of London is probably one of the most expensive in the world. It's you know, houses are crammed together. It looks like Mary Poppins, and this is money. This is money. And they were like, I don't care how much it costs, just when. So I'm umming and ahhing, thinking this could be a really good paid job. You know, there's a lot of things here, a lot of caveats. It's dirty, it's filthy, but I messaged them back. I said, look, I'm 2.5 hours away. We're going to be more expensive than a local guy. You might be better off finding somebody local. You know, I didn't want to railroad anybody. I gave him the option. He said, give us an estimate anyway. So I said, you're looking at about 3.5, 4.5 grand. It's probably £1,000 job, but there's a load of caveats. The parking's ridiculous, etc., etc. He was happy with those figures. So we went down there the next day to just finalise it. Did it over the weekend. It turned into a £5,000 job. It's probably about $7,500 US. It was on a weekend. It was late notice. He needed it cleared. He was working through the estate. The guy had passed away a year ago who had owned the property. Um, Apartments on that road are renting for £15,000 a month. So you can imagine there's a developer there that wants this turned around quickly. It was a drop in the ocean. We've made, I think I've paid all my staff ridiculously well. We've made £3,500 out of that pure profit for a weekend's work where realistically it took us 8 hours. We just stretched it over a weekend. There are incredible jobs out there where you will make a lot of money in one hit. They do come few and far between, but they are there. However, I know it's not an interesting story. It's just you put me on the spot. It's the first one I can think of.
It's a
And I'm
great
trying to
story.
think
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
way of advice for people starting out into this. But don't base build your business on getting jobs like that, because they're rare. You know,
Right.
your everyday jobs are going to be 2, 3, 4 yards, 7 yards of just junk in the back garden. You have to charge accordingly. That one we could charge the price we charged from, whereas there's a whole load of tolls to pay to drive into the city in a van. The parking, the late notice, working across the
Hmm.
weekend, all of those things. If you're starting out, don't forget to add on those little extras, because
Right.
they all add up, and they will suck your profit out if you're not careful. But I will have a better story for next time. I have thousands. I have thousands. I,
We have to do it next time. But that was a great story. I hanging on every moment of it. But next time, do us a favor. Bring the prettier, smarter partner with, would you? Would you?
She's right next to me at the moment, hiding
Okay. Yeah.
away.
Bring Darian on the call next time. Maybe we'll learn
I
something.
will do. I will do. I will do for sure.
Hey, it's always a pleasure chatting with you. It's fine. It's good to finally chat with you virtually.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
for
like
sure.
I like Zoom chats. You get to know someone a little bit better, and but I'll be dialoguing and talking shit with you on Facebook, because that's
Perfect.
having fun, and that's what we do. All right, so we'll talk again,
Perfect.
brother.